my face.
There's a local 3 train to New Lots Avenue. Welcome to the late Parsha show, Parsha Shemos. Welcome to the late Parsha show, Parsha Shemos. This week we begin the second of the 5 books known as Exodus, or as the Torah calls it, Shemos. Alright, let's begin. We've already been in the land of Egypt for quite a while, and we've grown into a big, mighty, and successful nation. We were growing at a very rapid pace. We were so prolific. And sextuplets were not an uncommon occurrence. So the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, decides he really doesn't like us. He feels really threatened by our numbers and decides he's got to think of a plan to stunt our growth. I guess he didn't know how to spend his time, and he was just sitting around thinking of Jews taking over his country. Yeah, not much good comes from just sitting around. After calling a meeting with his advisors, Pharaoh decides to enslave the Jews. They'll be in such pain from their work that they won't want to have more babies. And that was an absolute fail of a Pharaoh hat. They'll be in such pain from their work that they won't want to have more babies. Thanks to the righteous Jewish woman, that plan failed. So while keeping everyone in slavery, Pharaoh decided a plan B. Pharaoh obviously didn't realize that the reason his plan didn't work was thanks to the righteous Jewish woman, because his plan B involved calling over the righteous Jewish midwives and commanding them to kill the baby boys when they would help the mothers deliver. Of course they didn't do that, so Pharaoh really got angry now. He eventually commands his army to go by force and take all the Jewish boys and throw them into the Nile River. I just realized 2 things. Number 1, I don't have to recap the whole Parsha for you, because I can rap the whole Parsha for you. And number 2, I can't do that right now, because it's really almost Shabbos. So a very quick lesson from this week's Torah portion. When Pharaoh was thinking what to do with the situation of Jews being so prolific, he called over his 3 advisors. They were named Balaam, Eov, and Yisro. Balaam said, "That's a great idea, let's enslave the Jews." Eov, not thinking it was such a great idea, kept his mouth shut. While Yisro said, "Absolutely not, do not do that." Because of this protest, Yisro lost his job and had to run away from Egypt. All 3 of these advisors are spoken of later in Torah. Balaam comes along much later in a Torah portion called Balak. Eov has a book of his own, and Yisro is spoken of in this Parsha. We'll find out in Torah portion of Balak that Balaam had a bitter downfall and met a bitter end. Eov has a book of his own, but the book speaks of his life's suffering and troubles. Yisro, we learn about in this week's Torah portion, and renounces idolatry and finds God. And guess what? He merits to become Moses' father-in-law. And it even gets better. He plays a very big role in the court system that Moses established in the desert. And even more than that, the Torah portion, which records us receiving the Torah, is called after his name, Yisro. Torah portion of Yisro. Now, God runs the world, and each of these men got what was coming to him. Because he agreed with Pharaoh's wicked plan of enslaving the Jews, Balaam got a bitter end. Eov, because he did not object, encountered many problems in his life. While Yisro, who stood up for what he believed in, who stood up for what was right, received massive reward. The Rebbe says that this teaches us the importance of standing up for what's right, speaking out against what's wrong. We may have friends or acquaintances that wish us to do something which is not along the guidelines of Torah and mitzvos. Obviously, you shouldn't go along with them, but also don't keep quiet. Tell them the truth. And even if they're not necessarily trying to get you involved, don't just sit there. But in the right way, tell them the right thing. Shabbos. This Friday on the Hebrew calendar is actually Chaf Beis Teva. It's an awesomely special day because it is the birthday of my mother and my brother-in-law. It should be a year of health, wealth, success, and total joy in all elements of life. Love you so much.
Don't ask.